In this video, you're going to learn how to make Facebook ad images for your e-commerce company using Canva that sell your product extremely well. Not only are they going to sell your product, they're also going to look professional, clean, trustworthy, and you don't need any design experience at all. You can be brand new or you can be advanced. I promise you're going to get so much out of this video because I'm someone who is not a good designer by nature, but I've learned design over the last 8 years from running Facebook ads and having to figure out Canva, and I've had to learn all of these simple rules that I live by in order to create images really quick that are professional and most importantly that always sell. The design templates within Canva and a lot of these other apps are really pretty, but they do not sell. So it's very important that you live by the rules that I'm going to teach you today. So get ready, like the video, subscribe to the channel because in the next video we're going to be talking about how to do this for service-based businesses. And if you could use more professional help, I have a program that I've been running for the last 4 years now where I teach you how to run Facebook ads for yourself. So if at any point you're like, I just want to do this right the first time, I want someone to hold my hand, you can book a free call with me to start. And then if you do want to join the full program, we will do Zoom calls and we will set all of this up together. We will create your ads, launch them, optimize them. If you like the sound of that, don't even watch this video. Just go book the free call and we'll go from there. But for those of you who aren't really looking to invest into their business further, here is as best as I can give you on a YouTube video. Let's get started here. So when you are coming in to make images for your brand, first decision you do need to make is whether you're going to make a square image or a 4x5 vertical images. And we're not talking about videos in this video. So just to clarify that now, but 4x5 images do work quite a bit better for ads. We just went through a period though where the 4x5 images on the feed would sometimes automatically crop to just the interior 1x1 of the image, which would make it so crucial information was sometimes getting cut off or words were getting cut in half, and it would just look super weird. So I used to design more in square, but I haven't seen that for the last few months. So I just want to clarify that I typically have designed within square images in the past, but the 4x5 is the biggest image that you can make. It's 1080 by 1350 pixels. I do recommend you do this because I haven't really seen it be getting cut off in the feed anymore. But if you do see it, that's just something to watch out for. And I will say square templates or square canvases are a little bit easier to design in. So if you want to make this a little bit easier, you can use square images, but it's not that much more difficult, especially with the tricks I'm going to show you. So the next thing to do after you've chosen your canvas size is going to be picking one of my 4 templates. I really have found that all image ads that you see online fall under 4 categories. So understanding these categories really helps for you directing your thoughts in the right way. So the first one would be a benefits image where we simply list all of the benefits of a product. Pretty simple, right? Second one is a testimonial angle. So we are going to feature something one of the clients has said about our brand, and we're going to highlight that testimonial and use social proof to sell our product. Number 3 is going to be the offer. This is us just saying, hey, there's a sale, there's some kind of deal, and just promoting the product with the deal right from the ad level. And then the last one is called an us versus them ad. And you've probably seen ones like it out there, but I'm going to show you a great way on how to make one. So how to choose. We are going to go through each of these, and then I'm going to show you every little design technique. Like if you are someone who loves small, easy to implement tips, you have found the best video online. I'm about to unload so many freaking little small tips that you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to use all of these right away. So make sure you like the video. But benefits ad can be used for nearly any company out there. All right. Of course, you're going to want something that explains the benefit of your product or service. Testimonial. Every single company out there can use these. Work great whenever there is maybe a lot of skepticism in your market, or trust is more necessary, or there's like a lot of competition in your market, so you have to kind of gain some loyalty towards you. The offer ad is great whenever people are aware of your type of product. So if you're selling some brand new invention that no one's ever heard of before, it's not like you're not going to still put a discount code in the caption, or you can still have a sale be part of your ad, but you might not be able to just come right out and say sale. Like for instance, mouth tape. That's a really popular product right now, but even a couple years ago, the first time you ever heard of mouth tape, someone couldn't just be like 20% off mouth tape. You'd be like, what the heck is this, right? So kind of have to know what point of sophistication your product is at. If you can just tell people, hey, mouth tape, it's on sale, and it's going to work, an offer ad is usually one of the best ones that you can do. But if your product is newer and people need to be educated, that's when you're not going to do an offer ad. If you're selling clothing, offer ad is pretty much always the way to go. And then the last one is an us versus them ad. And this is going to be what you want to do when people are already buying your product type. It's just a matter of getting them to switch over to you. So like this protein powder example is going to be perfect for this because your dream client is already buying protein powder. You just need to get them to switch brands from whoever they're taking right now over to you. And in order to do that, they're going to need to understand the exact comparison between the products. So let's get into this, right? So the benefits ad will often look like this, and sometimes maybe this will be like over here and the bullet points will be on the right side. There's a lot of different ways that you can structure this. I'll show you one other one on my phone that looks really cool that I just saw from another company recently. So it can look something like this, just simply laying out the benefits. And then this is a way we've probably all seen where they have all of the bullet points around the product. So what makes up this image is a headline, are the body points, is the product itself, and I really like to use what I like to call a closing value statement at the bottom of the ad. So let's break down some of my rules. First rule, only ever use black or white text. And I only pick one per ad, all right? All white text or all black text. Why is that important? It's because as soon as I try to get into doing stuff like this, it can just look weird. I will at least tell you to make your ad with only black or white text, and then at the end, you can mess around. But don't worry about picking a font at the beginning, because what happens 9 times out of 10 is you spend 20 minutes to an hour trying to find that perfect shade of a certain color. It just doesn't even look as good or as legible as if you just used white or black in the first place. So dark background with white text. If you got a light background, you're going to have black text. The only other thing that you could do is I like to use off white, or I like to use off black. Okay, so just barely off white or barely off black does look a little bit better sometimes too. So that is rule number 1. Rule number 2 is you want text hierarchy to be completely clear. Text hierarchy is the how your mind is going to choose what order to read the text in. So I want 100% of people who read my ad to read it in the same order. Everyone's going to read that first, then they're going to read this next, this area, and then they're going to read this. As soon as you start having like text that's like, if I had this like really big on the bottom and really bold and huge, like some people are not going to know what text to read first. And it just kind of breaks your mind, right? When you look at that, you're like, where do I read first? And it makes your mind just read nothing, which makes your ad very easy to scroll past. So I want text hierarchy to make it blatantly obvious what order they should read it in. So from top to bottom, you will use higher sizes, from higher sizes to lower sizes. You can use bold to unbold. You can use caps lock to uncaps lock. And even this one down here has the opacity turned to 50. So all of those things are part of what goes into having clear text hierarchy. The next thing that I want you guys to understand is that in order for your ad to work, the headline is the most important part, and it has to pass this rule. It has to have instant identification with what is being sold, who is being sold to, the problem that is being solved, or the benefit that is being achieved. So what is being sold? The cleanest protein ever made. So right away, they know that it's protein powder. Great. If this said the best product ever made, the ad would not work. People would be like, the best product, I don't have time for this. I don't know what he's talking about. Cleanest protein ever made. Oh, I could use some protein. Now you have their attention. It could be the problem that it solves. So it could say, ditch your old protein powder, or my old protein powder, never helped me gain muscle, something like that. Third one, the benefit. You could say, I gained muscle quicker than I ever have before. So they know that the desire is muscle, right? Building muscle that is being achieved, so they can understand that it's probably protein, or they at least understand why they should consider this product. Or the last one being the audience. You could say, gym enthusiast's favorite protein, something like that, right? As long as it checks one of those boxes, then you're good to go. Because this is a product that everyone knows about, protein powder, you're just going to probably stick with the identification of the product you're selling, and you're going to be good. Cleanest protein ever made. Just make sure that if they read this, they know what is being sold to them. That is the first qualification of the headline. Other things that I have going on here. So I made this effect the hollow. I do that sometimes, but I just wanted to introduce another technique for you guys to consider. Other thing that I'll do sometimes would be the lift effect instead, and you can turn that like all the way to 100, and you can see that really makes this pop. Another thing that is going on is the shadow that I have behind the protein powder, and this is the best, simplest trick that your mind like almost never notices that makes the ad look so much better. Like, check this out. I get rid of that shadow, and all of a sudden I have an infographic. This is just blatantly images and text laid out on a 2D canvas. When I put this shadow behind the protein powder, all of a sudden this kind of looks like I took a picture of the protein powder myself. So what this is, I go into elements, I type in shadow, I grab like this one, and then I just like put it behind it, and this time I angled it, and then I turned the transparency down, and then I moved it behind the protein powder. There you go. Now you've got an image that looks 3D, that looks professional, even though all I did was add a little bit of shadow to it. So you can kind of mess around with it and like elongate the shadow even like that. And that is a great way. I think it's really the cleanest way to turn your ad into a 3D image. The other way is by going into edit on the image and going to shadows, and a lot of times I'll use the glow effect, and that will make it pop out. But like, so that's what I used to do in the past, but it still looks like an infographic. It still looks like I made this image, which isn't the worst, but I like how this looks more professional. This looks like a photo shoot. So I really love using this basic shadow technique in the background. The other thing is all of these are the exact same size font. All right. So I only want to use a maximum of 3 different font sizes in my image. So I have this font size up here, this font size, this font size. It's a technique I like to call big text, medium text, small text. And you can see that even if I get rid of that text down there, I don't think it looks nearly as good than if I had it like that. So that is something to incorporate. Now, what else do I have going on here? This background, how did I get that? I simply typed in red background, and then I looked for, and I got this one right here. All right. There's a lot of backgrounds like this that seem like, oh, that would be cool. I would not recommend doing this because your main decision-making protocol, I like to call this your North Star of decision-making, is clarity. So if you lose clarity, if people can't read what you wrote, if people aren't sure what you're talking about, the sale is over. So when deciding between this background and this background, I always go with this one. I think it looks a lot better too. It seems like, oh, this is so cool. Look at all that. It's like the red star galaxy. It just makes it harder to read and distracting from the sales messaging. I don't want them focused on the design. I want them focused on the sales messaging. I just want the design to kind of be there, setting this base template of professionalism, but making it so it's easy to read. So this would be an example of the benefits ad. Let's go ahead and move on to the testimonial. So again, it looks real simple. I'm going to do a little bit of design work to the background though to show you guys. Right now, it is just a flat color. But the fastest I've ever gained muscle. So I'm talking about the benefit right there, right? Instant identification of the benefit being achieved. If this testimonial said the best tasting drink I've ever had, that wouldn't work. It has to say the best tasting protein I've ever had. So make sure when you're picking a quote from a client that little testimonial bit has instant identification. Something that you definitely don't want to do is, if you look in here, all of the testimonials, you don't want it to say testimonial at the top. Client review, customer testimonials, client review again, client feedback. No one is going to read client feedback and be like, whoa, what is this company even? I want to read about their feedback. When people are looking at your ad, their goal is to scroll on. They want to not give your sponsored post the time of day. They want to get back to their scrolling. So unless they at least understand what is being sold to them, then there's not a chance that they're going to stop. Now you might think, well, I don't want to be salesy or whatever, right? I don't want to be so upfront. You have to be. Otherwise, they're going to scroll on. So if people want protein powder, they're gonna be like, cool, protein powder, like I'll think about it, right? Like it's fine. You want them to know exactly what is being sold to them right away. So the fastest I've ever gained muscle is what I chose to grab from that testimonial. You can see I bolded the bottom and didn't do the top. So I mostly just did that so you guys could see another design technique with the headlines. Otherwise, it would look totally fine if I just did that, or if I just did bold and did that, totally fine as well. You can see that I also included the arrow. I love an arrow whenever the headline is clearly like referencing a product, because check this out, arrow gone. The arrow is like one of the most effective ways to get someone to look at something. So using arrows is very, very useful in this type of marketing. It's really useful in creating YouTube thumbnails as well. People will always look where an arrow points, like especially if I like show you guys, to look over that way. Like you do this to someone. Like if you do this to someone in person, you're like, oh, like they'll always look, right? Because so arrows work. People always want to be directed and have their attention focused somewhere, but just an arrow is an extremely simple way to do so. So other parts of the testimonial image, what do I have going on? I have the big text, medium text, small text. I also have the product itself. Now, notice I don't have happy people just hanging out in the ad. This is a very bad idea that a lot of people like to do, is just be like, oh yeah, and then she's just going to be like, whoo, protein powder. Don't ever put stock photos of like people in your ad unless they are necessary to explain the offer. If it's like someone flexing muscles, that's okay, right? That would be okay. If it's just someone like a generic happy person, but even the person flexing muscles is not necessary. It's so much more important that they focus on the product itself, the words that are selling it, because these stock images of people just aren't good. If you want to show like a before and after, you can do that. You can't do that with fitness though, I will say, but you can do before and afters with like acne, like any kind of skincare stuff, or you can do that with like basically anything apart from weight loss. You can do it with before and after of like a home that you have decorated, or if you're like a home renovation company, you can do before and afters. And before and afters fall under the testimonial style of ad. So I will say that it's not a bad idea as well if you did like, I'll do this type of image with a before on the left side and a after on the right side, and just have them like be behind the image is a really cool way to do this. So before over here, after over here, and then that really rounds off that testimonial image, especially if that image is from the person who left the testimonial. You can see also that I made the bottle as big as possible, which you're going to want to do. This is one of the images or the elements that you want to make as big as possible is the product itself. So I took this bit of their testimonial, and then you can see in my mock-up here, that bit, the fastest I've ever gained muscle, is still right here, right? It's still part of the testimonial, but you're going to want to clip the person up here to create your headline, put it in quotes so that they know it's a testimonial right away. Put the entire testimonial down here. I like to put their name. I like to put verified purchaser. I've also in the past put things like 7x time 7-time purchaser would be like another way to do it, right? You can like, if there's other valuable insights that you can say about this client, then go for it. Otherwise, you can put like verified purchaser. I just like the look of, and you can also do things like add 5 stars over here is like a good place for it. Right, so that looks pretty good. I mean, I've fit it up here in the past. I've also like put it right in the center like that. Can look good. So you're gonna want to put it wherever you can. But when I make the image, I think I also wanted to keep the background just plain like this to show you that the background's the last thing that you want to alter. You want to do everything else that is important to the sales messaging first, and then make a background as complex as you can while still letting it remain as a background, right? So once I know this is all the stuff I'm putting in here, I know how complex I can make this. Because if I try to be like, all right, let me put in my red background and I want to do like something like this, then I kind of know like, hey, I already have too many elements in here that this doesn't really look good. Maybe if I was making a much more simple image with less text, then this could work. But in this case, I'm going to show you a very simple technique of just creating a gradient. So what you want to do in Canva is just grab a color that you know that you're going to use. So if I want to use this exact red from the bottle, and then I click here, and then I go to gradient. So what I like to do is I like to copy this red, and then I go to gradient. And then for the other color, I'm going to paste in that exact same red, but then I'm just going to barely modify it from where it's at. This is a great way to create just a slightly more complex background rather than have it be flat. And you can also mess around with, these different variations of how it plays out the color, or like what where it moves from. So I probably like that one the most. You can do something like that. I can also, even for the other color, make it like the tan color that we're using if I wanted to be a little bit more diverse there. One other technique I'll show you is if you type in the word pattern, you're going to get a lot of things like this. This is going to look very corny, but sometimes it can look cool. Maybe I grab all of these muscles and I switch to white and I go transparency down here and I put it to the back. And that can be another way to create a very simple background. I'm not going to do the muscle pattern though. I'm just going to type in pattern, and let's say that I liked this one, and I would put it to the back. I'm going to make it white, and I'm going to lower the transparency to something like that. That is another great way to make a slightly more detailed background. Otherwise, in this case, I think this basic gradient looks a little bit better than when it was a flat color. So try this like 2 gradients that are like just barely different in color, and it just makes it look It looks like it was a picture that was actually taken is what it does, because it looks like someone had like a red backdrop. So this is the testimonial ad. Oh, last thing here. What did I do to make this? This is just one of these text boxes, or one of these boxes, and I put it behind the text. But then I'm a big fan of turning on the border on it. So you can see in this case, because I wanted to stick with all white text, I did make this black. I could have made it another color, but because of my rule of clarity, rarely does a color other than using like black and white look better and like look easier to read. So this is what this is. It's just this black box with the white border on it. And I did the same thing down here. I put it over it. So you guys can steal that design hack there, just light border to make your text boxes. And then this up here is the lift effect going on. Moving on to the offer image, this is what it looks like. So you're going to do a headline, and you're going to do a badge, and you're going to do a code if it would be a code. Otherwise, you can put something else down here. So I'll show you two alterations of this image actually, but the best way at the best price all summer. So the headline in the offer ad does need to clarify the sale. And I don't want to just say like summer sale or like spring sale, because it doesn't have instant identification of what is being sold. So you want to say like the best way, I'll even say like the best way protein would maybe be a good way to do this, at the best price all summer. And here is another one of my favorite techniques that I'm doing is when you're doing this 2-line headline, match the left and right margins with the top and bottom of the ad. So that actually looks a little bit too big, but if I have something like this, what you do is you have to press backspace and then hold down shift and press enter. That will put this on a different line of formatting. And then I can do that and just change the font of one line by itself. But if you look on Netflix, this is something they do to like every one of their thumbnails, is just matching the left and the right align and just doing a maximum of a 2-line headline. When it becomes a 3-line headline, I think it's too much. So I would live by that you're never going more than 2 lines in your headlines. This right here, if you type in badge, you can find all of these things that are really great for sales. So you can do like something like that. And, so I'll delete this for a second just to show you what that would look like. I can change the color of this. And, yeah, I mean, these are pretty easy to make look good. Maybe I'll even put a shadow on it and make it a little bit more 3D. And yeah, that can look pretty good like that. This is also a mix of bold and unbold text. And you can see I left and right aligned all of this because this is all different font sizes. But you can see sometimes it looks good if you have something less important, smaller like that. Like I'd say that looks pretty good. The other thing you can do is like italicize this. This is Poppins, by the way. It's getting overused out there, so try not to use it because like way too many brands are using it at this point, but it is a very great font to fall back on. But yeah, I'd say like I like to just mess around with one font if I can. The entire image being one font, but then altering caps lock, bold, different sizes of it, italicize. The easiest way to do your font is to only pick one. I would never go more than 2 fonts though in one image. It's very difficult to do without it getting just weird looking, okay? So like if I wanted to do this font, that's fine. And then like that looks okay. But a lot of times it still looks better to just do one type of font So this is Poppins in this case. Cooper Hewitt's another good one. Oh, this is Cooper Hewitt down here. Was it? Oh no, we're good. But just using one variation, one font, and then just using the different variations of that is the best way to not have your fonts looking weird. So at the bottom here, I did another little technique where I take the pill-shaped thing and then I just throw it off of the image, and I think that is a nice little way to add something at the bottom. I'm going to show you the other variation though of this is instead of that pill, a lot of times I want to use things like this. Like if I'm doing free shipping, I can just use these icons. And since my text is white, I'll probably keep this white. Well, it's pretty bright down there. It's like that bright yellow, so I'll go black actually. Or you can do like vegan and put that at the bottom, and maybe something like cruelty free, like all of these little things that you can do, recyclable, made in America, all these little badges are another great way to add a little bit more design, but design that actually sells your product, which is the whole point, okay? Because a lot of design techniques just simply add distraction to your image. Everything about this sells the product and still looks great, right? So here's two variations of the offer ad. Moving on to the last one, this is the us versus them. This is the hardest one to make because it's generally difficult for people to identify the most important points, but essentially what you're going to do is you're going to divide the image in half. With this, I just used a basic single color background, and on this side, I used a gradient just to make it look like the better one. Even though it's called us versus them, it's kind of more them versus us because I do like to put the brand they're using on the left and the brand I want them to get on the right. I will use a basic headline of the product. So like I would probably wouldn't put store-bought, but like store-bought protein, so we can have instant identification, still very important in this type of ad. Store-bought protein, or let's say your protein, or most whey protein, right? Something like that. Most whey protein versus Whey Max. So this is like my made up company, but putting your logo here, like I want it to look like the better one right from the beginning, like a cool logo versus like not a cool logo kind of distinguishes that. Same with the background. And then here was like a little versus thing. So I grabbed the first one. You can grab any of these. It's not even necessary, but I do like the look of it. So then what you're going to do is put a product there. Or like the common product. So you can do something like this. You can just do a generic image. I've even used like the exact competitor's product before if you want to call someone out directly. Or you can put the competitor's product, but then add a blur over it is another cool way where people can kind of tell what the product is, but you're not being too aggressive and going like, hey, check, like this product sucks, right? But you can kind of, like people who take the product can probably tell what it is a cool way to do it. And then you're going to do like a maximum of 5 bullet points on but I really like even 3 to match up with each other. So point 1 on this side, you wouldn't want to do something like made in China. And then over here, you would put 100% organic ingredients. That doesn't match up. You can put made in China, made in America. You can do that. Or you can put uses low quality ingredients and then uses 100% organic ingredients. The points have to match up because they're going to read it point 1, point 1, point 2, point 2. So you don't want to make random unassociated comparisons. You want those to be the reasons why. So you being able to really identify how you could get them to stop using what they're currently using and have them find a problem with what they're currently using. If they don't have a problem with what they're currently using, you're not going to get them to switch, but you're going to really need to identify those. And I would also say make sure point 1 is the strongest point, point 2 is the second strongest, point 3 and so on are less important. because some people will only read the first one, and if that doesn't land, it's not, they're probably just going to scroll. It's not going to work. So make sure that the first point is the most important. And then at the bottom here, I've got my, what I like to call a closing value point. Works really great to do down there. I might even make it like slightly more transparent. I mean, I don't know, that doesn't look bad how it is. I can make it a little bit bigger. Here is one incredible hack that I will tell you. Something like this where I'm like, I don't know how big should this be and exactly where it should be on here. You will know exactly the answer to that if you get the Canva app. And what you do is, before you launch an ad, if you live by this rule that you will always look at an ad on your phone before you launch it, then you'll be doing so much better, because it is a completely different experience when you are looking at an ad on desktop than how you look at it on mobile, and the ad will be consumed on mobile. So what I will do even is I will pull up this design while I'm working on it, and I will have, like you guys can see, I will be like selecting these in a second, but I'm working, I have the ad here, and I will be like moving stuff around while looking at my phone, because it's just so much more obvious. So like, I know that this is way too high up, and I know that it is a bit too legible as well. So I'm going to go down to 75, and I can tell you guys it is way more obvious when I'm looking at it on my phone. It needs to be 50, I can see, and I couldn't tell before. Even now I can tell it still actually should have a little bit more design to it. So what I can do is that like pill, like that half pill, we'll call it, technique that I was doing before, and do something like this. And even like that looks, I think, a lot better, but it's a lot more obvious when you pull it up on your phone. So that is what I got for you, unless I can think of any last minute tips that are super beneficial. But if you use those design principles and you stick within these 4 different design templates, it's going to make your life a lot easier. And if you've got a campaign that's not working, think about which one of these templates that you're not using, and maybe that would be the angle for you to start exploring. For those of you who would like extra help, make sure you book that free call below. Subscribe to the channel. Next video, we're talking about how to do this for service-based businesses, so I will see you in that video.